Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today, as I promised, this is going to be the Machina showcase against the Ultimecia fight. It's pretty busted. I'm just going to say that right now. This Ultimecia doesn't last very long. Crazy thing is I'm actually looking for a selfie friend, and they're kind of hard to find. Like, there's not very many selfies out there, so I don't know. In my opinion, Selfie's probably still the most useful friend in the game. I have used Kane a few times. Like having an off turn like that is really good as well. But yeah, people want to show off their other units. I get it. I still have Selfie up for mine. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and showcase it. I just wanted like quick, easy force charging. Right, I just want to access that for this fight. But basically, you know, if you're familiar with this fight, it's very aggressive, and Ultimecia will hit thresholds and do her recharge attack, which basically simulates like she does in her actual kit, where she'll take like 3 turns in a row. She'll do things like push you back, make you not attack as much, and she can just eat a ton of turns, right? So the idea with this team, and what I wanted to showcase, that is something that's really cool about Machina. He's not just like a crazy offensive powerhouse, but he's got follow-ups and counters in his kit, which work really good in off-turn team comps. And off-turn works really well with his force time because it's 5% with a melee attack, and any of his attacks do 25%. So, like, what made me so impressed with like Celis's off-turn was it was 20%, 25% on her own stuff. Well, Machina gets it, and it's a lot more consistent because it's literally anytime you proc those spiral linchpin follow-ups, or if he actually gets a counter, right? Now, Machina's actual, like, just the counter isn't that strong, but it serves its purpose for building the gauge very, very well. And then when the gauge is high, that small attack still does a lot of damage, right? So all we're kind of doing right now with this team is we are just basically playing out our normal turns, and we're just going to kind of slowly get our way to a force time. But I am going to bring in Selfie, and I actually think I bring in Selfie in Machina's slot. So what I do is I do set up the Oath of Absolute Defense cheese where I can get it on all 3 characters, which makes it even more busted, because then any all attack that comes in, when you have triple Oath of Absolute Defense out, basically Core is going to do 3 attacks before the boss acts, which that's going to basically be 15% to the FR gauge. Not to mention the Spiral's Linchpin is going to do 25%. So needless to say, we can get the gauge up pretty quickly with this team comp. And I actually do some shenanigans at the end just to be able to show off more damage, because the boss was going to be dying too fast, like too quickly. And so yeah, this is just yet another variation of something you can do with these off-turn comps, which I love these. I've done so many variations of this, right? You've got Celis, you've got Minwu, you've got Core, you've even got like Ferris. Like, these are all like off-turn FRs that you can use. And even Rydia I would consider like an off-turn one. Hers is a very different style of it, but hers is also like an off-turn one. So I just find these team comps to be very fun, especially when you have like aggressive bosses. And a lot of times, these team comps are very safe because you're hard to kill when you've got these defensive units. Obviously, the current Shinryu is or not the current one, but the one we had just had, the Fell Angel one. They do build some Shinryus that kind of counteract defense comps, where like, if you let the boss act too much, something really bad can happen. And that's kind of what the Fell Angel does. If you let the boss act too much, they're going to full heal and you're kind of screwed, right? So anyways, we went through our Selfie stuff. We're at 89%. We got Machina back in. So I decided, you know, I could... Here's the other, like, kind of sneaky thing Machina has. With his Awakening attack that you see right here, this is an instant turn. Now, it's not like a mega force charging attack, but you still get some percent from it, and it is spammable. So if you get like really super close with Machina, you technically could spam that a few times just to give yourself like an extra 3% or so. You know, if you're within like, I don't know, 8 to 10% of it, you could spam that enough to get yourself up to 100 if you really wanted to, right? Now what I opt to do is I'm just going to take another loop around and get back to Machina. So I decided to just pop his BT right now. So remember, Machina does have a stacking BT effect. So you want him to get a couple turns to get that built up before you go like super into it. But with this team comp, it doesn't really matter because you're going to be doing so much passive damage. So basically, we're set up here now so that on Machina's next turn, we're just going to pop the FR. And this is what I like about Machina, where he's flexible enough where if you want to do the traditional FR setup where like You have Luna Freya, you give him a bunch of turns, you let him ramp up, use his own BT phase, and do all the damage. Like, that version of Machina is insane. Like, that's very similar to, like, what a Tifa or Jack Arlen would do, right? But on the other hand, you can play it like this, the way I'm going to do it in this video, where you just pop the FR, you don't worry about him getting multiple turns, and you let the rest of your team and himself do the off-turn and just go crazy. The thing that's different, though, about this off-turn team, you know, a lot of the other setups, like, even, like, Celis isn't, like, the craziest damage dealer, right? Minwoo can put up some good numbers, but it's all from the traps in the off-turn, right? What's cool about this variation of it, you actually have, like, a top-tier damage dealer in the mix, where you can turn it from a defensive into an offensive. And so I'm going to kind of demo, like, something really nasty you can do with this that is a little bit more difficult to do with other defense team comps, right? So here we go. Let's go into the FR, and we're going to kind of see how this plays out. But we're going to absolutely wreck this fight. we're gonna wreck it so bad that Ultimecia will not know what is coming. And you can see just by the time we got into it, she's already down to 85%, right? So here we are. Machina's got a turn. And so obviously what you do is you want to use Furious Blade's Burst. It's a big beefy attack, right? I was just double checking to see if it would proc an instant turn, because I didn't want to like turn rate up too much there. I want to let the enemies get turns here. So actually, like, turn rate's bad, but I want to do transformed attacks for the gauge, right? So here we go. First attack of Force Time, and it's what, 2.8 mil. Pretty dang beefy, right? And then we got the percent, and then Core following up, and then Gladio now going to counter. And now we're just off to the races. So now we do the thing where we can kind of be in auto mode and let the enemies just go crazy and absolutely, like, bludgeon themselves on our weapons. Like, they're just going to get crushed. So here we go. Recast gauge filled. Ultimecia threshold. That's, like, the best thing we can have happen, because now she's going to steal 3 turns. Now, what happens a lot with, like, Core in the off turn is Ultimecia will gain Brave and will keep interrupting her, but then she keeps just following up with more turns. So it's fine. And the thing is Machina's FR, it's so flexible that as long as we just use transformed attacks, we still get good gauge even on our offensive turns. That's the other thing that's kind of strong about this setup, is on other setups, like on the turns where you have to attack, you don't always get good percentage, right? But with Machina, you see, we got 25% off turn there, which was very good. But you can get like 50, 60, 70, 80% on turn in addition to all the off turn you're getting, right? So here we go. Popping an LD here with Gladio just to make sure his buff is upkept, and it's just good damage, and we know we're not going to run out of uses on it, so why not? And then just getting all these off-turn ticks, 5%, 5%, 5%. So there's the triple, right? Ultimecia is proccing at all attacks, so we're going to triple counter you before you even attack. We're going to get hit. Machina actually got missed there. Had Machina gotten hit, we would have also gotten a Machina counter. But we still get the linchpin. The linchpin's still popping off, and there's 25. So, you can see we're building up quite quickly. We're on 8 turns left still, and we're already at 374. I'm checking my Oath of Absolute Defense to see where I'm at, if I want to refresh or not. Now here, this is something I wouldn't normally opt to do, but this is why Core works so well with Machina. Using Reaper's Gale fulfills all the requirements. We got 63% there, right? It's a transformed attack, and it has abnormal turn rate because it's instant turn rate. So Core just synergizes so well with Machina, like he's almost a staple on his teams, because not only that, he helps Machina deal more damage if you are even doing the more offensive version. Another reason why Core is such a valuable unit, and why Core made my top 10 list of my top 10 units of the year, Core is just ridiculous. And like Luna Freya and other units on my list, is aging incredibly well and will continue to age well. Off turn is something that ages very well. And so yeah, we just off turn, give me all the ticks. So yeah, we're on pace to hit max 999 gauge, right? So that's where we're gonna go. Now the one thing that this particular build lacks is like super on-demand healing, but we do have regen. So as we take our turns, we do heal back up. But there we go, 25% off turn. Here comes Gladio. And I'm trying to think, what do I want Gladio to do? I mean, I just LD'd like last turn. I could have just LD'd again, right? I think I just HP plus attack, because it is a transformed HP attack. So that'll give us more gauge. Yeah, 53%. So it's okay to just HP plus because you get good gauge on it. It's just like how Charlotta's works, right? You use a transformed attack, HP plus counts as a transformed attack. So literally any character in the game can proc it. Very flexible that way, right? And then, yeah, just getting these 25s from Machina off turn is just crazy. It's pretty insane how good his FR actually is. Especially when you build the team right. And I think this is where Machina can actually have a little bit more value over, say, like a Jack Garland, a Tifa Renoa, in that his FR allows you to operate in an offensive or defensive comp. So at this point, like, had we not broken Ultimecia there, she would have attacked into Oblivion and killed herself. So because we are dominating so much, like, look at this. And here's another off turn for 25%. We're already at 723. We're only halfway through our gauge. So we're on pace to hit like a 1400% or something. So because I know Ultimecia is going to pop, I opt to go burst phase. So this is what's cool about it. Unlike other defense comps, where you just literally ride through the whole thing and just let it go, you could literally get to whatever like the latest turn Machina gets, you could then go into burst phase and then ride like some offensive turns to really blow it up at the end, instead of being passive, depending on the boss. Sometimes still being passive is good at the end, but you could be on like, you know, have like maybe 2 or 3 turns left, and it's like, oh, the boss doesn't have a turn coming up. Like if it was Machina and then Gladio Core, and I only had 3 turns left, you could pop burst and get like 3 really good whacks with Machina in, and probably do a lot more damage than you would have done with just like a Core and Gladio attack, right? So you have that option to do that really cool offensive combo at the end, and now we're easily hitting the 999 gauge. Obviously, if we stayed in defense mode and Ultimecia had more health, we could have definitely exceeded that a lot earlier. But now, look at the damage here. 25 mil. And we don't have the other enemy to do splash on. So we're looking, and this is cool so that you guys can just see what Furious Blade's Burst does at max gauge. This is what it does at max gauge. There's a 26 million shot. So Machina is basically, he's nearly getting to like Enacro numbers. Because remember, we're not launching. When you do like the 60 mil with Enacro, you've got like Kate Sith and you're launching. We don't have either of that with Machina. So this guy could like almost consistently put up, I know Enacro still will hit harder, but like these are numbers that are like, whoa, like 26 mil every time I attack. And we could defense ramp up to that and maybe have like 3 to 4 turns of full gauge and then go into burst and then pop like 3 or 4 26 mil shots. Absolutely crazy. And that was what, like 113 mil burst phase without a second enemy to be dumping damage onto. Like Machina's easily like a 200 mil burst phase character. Like he's crazy. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this bad boy. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.